Hey, everybody. Just a couple of quick reminders, and then we're going to get into the talk of today. So, of the year, actually. Kind of a recap on what I learned pretty much up to this point about the journey that we're on, for those of you who are newly awakened. Okay, so first thing I wanted to say is if you, the chats that I kept on Telegram, I mean, I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time. So don't feel like you can't reach out to me on Telegram. I'm happy to talk to you on Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever. But if I don't, the chats that I end up keeping are the people that I talk to on a frequent, almost everyday basis, and it's super high vibrational. So if it doesn't fall into that category, it's going to get deleted to save space in my phone, basically. So that's a good, simple way of looking at it. But you can reach out to me anytime, but just don't take it personally when it gets deleted, okay? So that's the first one I just wanted to clarify for everybody. And I deleted my channel because God told me to. And there were, good reasons behind, why, but basically it's just because I was told to. I knew a couple weeks in advance that I was being prompted to get rid of it, but then January 1st came and God said, okay, it's time, delete it. So I said, okay. And I'm just trusting, and I've learned to trust my guidance. So I just did that. So, and all right. Also, I am, I'm staying off of social media more than I was. Like I had a friend kind of alarmed this morning saying I saw that you hadn't been on Telegram for over 14 hours. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. I said, that's awesome. And I explained to her that I've been going to bed earlier. When I get up, I tend to use daily boosters every morning. I do a meditation and or Qigong. And in a day such as today, I feel inspired to do a talk. So I was making notes. So I explained to her that that's what took so long. And with the international differences too, it's like, they're like waiting all day long to hear back from you, and you might be writing to them at 3 or 4 in the morning. So, and it's a good sign too, because, if I'm not typing to you at 3 or 4 in the morning American time, then I'm sleeping better than a day when I'm up doing that. Depending. That's kind of a general thing. I can't necessarily say that, because if I'm fasting, I really don't need much sleep. So I might go to bed early and then wake up 3 or 4 in the morning and get a lot of work done. So yeah. Anywho, I also wanted to clarify something that's been coming up too. Of if I start to see a pattern about something, then I know I need to mention it, because there might be more people thinking that or whatever. So one thing that's been coming up is when I work on people, sometimes when I do the private remote sessions with you, remote readings, I guess you could call them, but healings and reading into energies for you, basically. Sometimes I'll describe something to you, like I'll say, this particular person, I said that they had some kind of a plate on their head or something like that. Like that, I described it as that there were hinges and all this stuff in it. Like I described basically some things that I was seeing energetically. And I couldn't believe, I talked to her like a long time later, and she reflected back on it. She said, is the plate still there? And I was like, what plate? You told me I had a plate and it had screws and it had this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, what? So just know that when I'm channeling in your readings and on these videos, the information is fresh and it's coming from spirit in that moment, but it may as well be a cloud floating by. So don't make up a story about it. We are way too much about stories as humans. And that's one thing the Nefarians did to us, is the negative artificial intelligence, I believe, is our ego and sin, and causes us to sin, which is misaligned with God. Okay. So putting that all together, we make up stories and we keep in the past. So she was ruminating on the past on that plate, thinking about that plate all the time. Is it open? Is it closed? Is it securely shut? Does it need to be screwed down? And all the while thinking there was still a threat. When I had worked on her and did whatever I did, describing for her so there's not silence on the other end of the phone. I was just, when I'm saying that, I'm just giving you a visual as to the type of work or the symbolism behind the work that I'm doing. It's not it has nothing to do with anything specific, and it has nothing to do with, there's nothing permanent about energy work, nothing permanent about it. It's moldable, shapeable. It changes from day to day, moment to moment. If I were to work on the same person three times throughout the day, I would see something different. One time it would be a plate, another time it'd be a torpedo, and another time it would be a building or something, So whatever I'm describing, don't take it seriously, and definitely don't do the human thing and grab onto it and make a story of it and live off that story. Or, I might tell you about your ailment. I'll say, oh, your knee was feeling this way or that way, and and I'll describe, your relationship to your knee or something. And then you'll, oh, I hope that knee's not mad at me again. Or I hope that, that this is how, I don't know. You guys sometimes can make stories up about the stuff and keep it alive. So, and you turn it into a worry. When I did the work on you, it completely erased all of it if you would have just taken my advice. The important thing to pay attention to when I do readings for you is to follow the advice. In fact, if you don't follow the advice, it will stay. You will continue to get the attack, or you'll continue to have the ailment, because we're grabbing onto it because somehow we're getting something gratifying out of it. People's sympathy, or we keep the ailment around so people will feel sorry for us, or because it gets us out of going to things that we don't want to be a part of, that we can't admit to ourselves we don't want to go to, really, and we can't just say no. There's so many different things that subconsciously we will kind of sabotage ourselves. So please don't attach to any stories about anything I pick up in your field. In fact, just say, oh, isn't that interesting? How cool? That kind of makes sense, because they did say one time that and it's just more of a point of you even recognizing certain things about what's being described. Spirit uses the specific things to get you to think of things. I can't tell you how many times when I'm describing what I see to them or to you guys energetically, where you go, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, because he used to have a this and that and the other thing, and he used to be, and it just confirms that that's him. You know what I mean? So Spirit does it intentionally to get your attention or to give you confirmation of something, but then it's time to let it go and move on after that, and to know that it is healed. If I have done a blissing on you during a reading, it is healed. As long as you believe it is healed. Now, again, you bring it back by believing that it may not be finished. It may not be, your doubt creeps in, and that humanness creeps in, your ego, your misalignment from God, source energy, sin, artificial intelligence pulling you this way, negative artificial intelligence pulls you that way, and off the mark. Okay. Oh my gosh, off the mark. This goes straight into a subject I wanted to talk about. That's what they mean by off the mark. It's off the mark. I just had an awesome epiphany. Okay, so this just confirms what I was going to say in one of these things. So I guess they're not going to be in any kind of numerical order. So these are tips for 2023 and forward. These are things I even did a session with myself, like a divine guidance council meeting, I guess. And I show you how to do that for yourself on YouTube if you want to practice a divine guidance council meeting. So put those words in with my name and it should come up. I've been really curious about the mark of the beast for a long time. And I was like, well, is it a microchip, or is it this, or is it that? I bounced all kinds of theories. One of my favorite theories came from probably Alexandra, her channel, probably Alexandra, if you want to look that up. She has studied the Bible extensively, and she will screenshot and show you all this scripture and all the things that point to this and that and the other thing. And she's trying to figure all this stuff out too. And I believe she came up to the same conclusion, but she does it in such a roundabout, twisted way that you're just like, kind of like, it's all very informative, but you're like, what is the mark again? What exactly is this again? So I'm going to try to simplify it by saying what I believe it is and what I keep asking Spirit, and I keep getting a yes on also, because I want to make sure. There is, I believe the mark of the beast is there's a mark of the beast and there's a mark of God. So you're aligned with God, you're on the mark, right? You're on the mark with God, aligned with God. That means being present in the moment. Or you have a mark of the beast and you are in fear. So this is love and this is fear. So depending on what your default or your pattern is, you're either, designing yourself and healing yourself to go toward love, or you're designing yourself and not healing yourself, keeping wounds open by going over to fear. So it's either one of the two. And there's some kind of I just got the word groove. There's some kind of a groove, an energetic groove that kind of points intuitively. Now we are in a spiritual war. So the Nefarians actually are very intuitive. They can heal, by the way. There's somebody who claims to be Yeshua, Jesus Christ. I thought I'd throw that out there too, who is not, who is able to heal people. So even dark entities can heal. So don't be fooled. Always listen to your intuition, which is coming up in another point I'm going to make. Anyway, so it's either love or fear. And anything or anybody intuitive, especially God, when it comes to Judgment Day, can tell whether you're living by love or you're living by fear. Now, the fear part is the reptilian cortex of the brain. So there must be something that happens in that fires off to where it becomes like a pattern or a groove, like they're saying, that they can tell. Whoever is going to be looking for the mark of the beast is going to be able to tell that there's a groove there from you fearing too much. So stop everything and heal. And stay present in the moment. And I'm going to tell you how specifically to do that in a minute as well. That's one of the things I'll be addressing. Okay, so point number one, I'm going to go in order of what I put them in, just so I can make sure I address everything, because I just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Point number one is it is all just a movie. From what I gather, from what I understand with my intuition and the countless readings I've done, and the Great Awakening updates that I've done here on YouTube. Oh, by the way, my shirt says offline. I am offline. So as often as possible. All right. So yes, it is just a movie, but that doesn't mean to sit around doing the same thing you've always done. This is a time to have revelations. That's why it's called revelations, or awakenings, epiphanies, realizations. Wow. Oh my gosh, I just had a revelation, right? So revelations is a positive thing, but it's about reassessing everything in your life. So, so it says, as a part of the continuation of government, if you guys have not found out about that, Phil Godlewski, or whatever his name is, Phil does a lot of talks on it. However, no matter who you listen to on it, and he did a really good talk that Derek Johnson had done. He outlined it really well, the continuation of government. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about something else in a minute. Anyway, learn about the continuance of government if you can. Study it or learn it from somebody or look it up on a video or whatever, because will give you some peace of mind. And it is in effect. But as a part of the continuation of government, the C.O.G., in other words, that came into effect when Mr. rhymes with B, or Bump, declared we were in a state of emergency, and even before that. Within the COG, it states they must make the general population aware of the threat. Okay, so in order to do that as safely as possible, they had to replace the real dangerous people with clones and actors. Have them still play out their roles and drive you to distrust any authority figure. So you learn to rely on your connection with God and or intuition alone. And your intuition is God speaking to you. So there in God, I see as G.O.D, which is group of deities, which is basically your divine guidance council. Okay. It's energy. It's the goodness of all that is. It's what animates us and makes us real and sets us as apart from robots, right? Okay, there will still be casualties, or people wouldn't see the trouble that they were in. So that is the point of that. There is a continuation of government, but that doesn't mean to just trust the military or trust FEMA or any of that stuff. If it's organized and if there are authority figures involved, they're trying to teach you a lesson to not follow that. Okay, just keep that in mind in the days ahead. Okay, number 2, which is kind of like the conclusion of number 1, be the black sheep and always go against the grain. The grain is designed to drive the masses off a cliff, so don't do as most people do. Now, most of you, I would say, are aware that the Nefarians, the Satanists and Luciferians, have had kind of a subculture, a sex trafficking subculture going on for like quite a long time. They have infiltrated every area of leadership in our world so that they could cause a lot of division and a lot of trouble. And if you want to look more into that, there's a really good book called Hollywood Propaganda that talks about how they even spread it through all kinds of media, movies, TV, everything. So it's really good. But anyway, if a lot of people are going to do it, or if there's a big announcement, everybody needs to go do this thing, you probably shouldn't. So always listen to your gut. Okay. And number 3, everything is a purposely intended distraction. Everything that you love and you do on your time off, everything that entertains you, everything that, takes up time, but helps you relax or whatever. Sometimes that can be a good thing, but I want to offer up some alternative things that you could be doing with your spare time that could be just as relaxing, just as rewarding for sure, but much more like productive, and it would work against what they have been trying to trap us in. So we're all trying to break out of the matrix right now. We're all trying to break out of the conditioning that's been happening for all these years. We're trying to reverse it so that we can make a difference. And the more that we do that, the more it's actually going to affect the collective, because we are all one. So the more that we say, okay, like make a conscious decision to do this instead of that with our evening or with our lunch or whatever, then it's helping many more people across our planet to make the same types of decisions. Okay. And it can wake people up so much faster that way, because there's an energy going through everybody. And that's why they've tried to dumb down their energy and their pineal glands and everything, so they don't pick up on that collective energy that's pulling them up, So the more we can be really diligent in our own personal lives to do what we can to be different, the more it's going to be seeping through. There'll be more and more energies poking through these sleepers to help them to wake up. Okay, so instead of these distractions, consider spending your time healing. So that could be emotional healing or physical healing, learning something new that you didn't know before, researching where your food comes from. I talk to clients more and more frequently who say, well, I looked into that, but then I found out that peanuts were, even if they say non-GMO, they're usually alternating between a cotton field and them, and the cotton field wasn't GMO or was GMO. So they're still getting GMOs from the cotton field, even the cotton soil and whatnot. So that's because they took a minute they're like, I'm eating a lot of peanut butter, so let me look it up and see what happens to peanut butter, how peanut butter is processed and all that. So I thought, wow, that's exactly what we all need to be doing right now. So research where your food comes from, grow your own food, become a master manifester, Become free from any and all restrictions or constraints. Live off grid. Raise your vibration. Boost your chi, doing qigong and meditating or anything like that. Grow your consciousness, same way. Growing confidence or being out in nature, they just said. Growing confidence in your intuition. Forming bonds with other people. What you put your energy on increases both for you and the collective. The same works for speaking and thinking. So if you must think or speak negatively, process it later. In other words, go back and do a healing on it by, when I say process, it could be doing Byron Katie's work or EFT or whatever works for you, whatever works for like transmuting or changing, rewiring your brain essentially about whatever that was so that you stop getting triggered by it. It could be thank you, God, for my misery or whatever you use. But go back and do that. Say, oh, that triggered me today. So I think I'm going to take a minute to shut off the TV and shut off whatever. And I'm going to turn on a little light and I'm going to grab my pad of paper and I'm going to take the time to actually think it through, feel it out. Why did I get triggered? However, whatever you do there. Okay. So, but take the time to go back and kind of clean up your mess. If you got triggered, it's a mess. So go back and clean it up so that the next time you're not going to get triggered. More than likely, you're not going to get as triggered or, less and less triggered as you go if you keep cleaning it up. Or you can be the observer while you're doing it. So if you got to be upset with somebody or something or whatever, at least be the observer while you're looking at it or while you're doing the action, because while you're doing the action, you're actually transmuting it if you're being the observer. Now, that actually leads to the next subject that I was going to talk about. One of the next up. Well, I'll talk more about that in a minute. I want to stay in order so I don't forget anything. Okay, so everything's purposely intended to distract us. All right. No labels are to be trusted. So if anything is in a box, a jar, a can, and it has a label on it, so it's been produced somehow, like processed or whatever. Even organic vegetables, even like if it's in a store and it's for sale, pretty much, it cannot be trusted, at least for the next couple of years till everything gets worked out. So this will be increasingly obvious over the next couple of years. It will get worse before it gets better. The Nefarians dumped a bunch of toxic stuff on their way out that will need to get cleaned out of our food system, our food supply. So I'm going to show you a way to check items to make sure that they are approved or toxic. And that's coming up. Okay, so the next one is always check everything that you buy item by item. So this actually, I lead right into it. Okay, so one could be, well, one box, like if you have a box of something, one could be good and two could be bad or the other way around. So you want to check it per container. Or something like, there could be a little shard of glass or something. I mean, there could be anything that would be like something bad in something. So it's always good to check whatever you're about to have or buy. So practice using your intuition. You could use a green check mark. When you learn to do the Divine Guidance Council meeting that I teach you guys, you communicate with spirit and kind of come up with your own legend of what things mean and what they, how do you say, I would like to see a green check mark, please, if it's a yes, or if it's approved. And I'd like to see a big red X if it's not, if it's toxic. So you can actually explain to spirit the way that you would like to see whatever it is. Or you can say, make my eye twitch if it's bad, or make my tattoo itch if it's bad, or you could come up with anything you want to and ask spirit to show you in that way whether something is bad or good, kind of thing. And that could work in so many different ways. You could go to start to watch a video and you'll see a green check mark and you'll be like, oh, good, this is a trusted source. I had somebody I was Zooming with yesterday, actually. They were laughing. I was talking to a couple And I was talking about the check mark thing. And I was like, look for a green check mark means it's approved. And if you see like a red X, it's not, it's, it's toxic or bad. And they, and the guy went, oh my gosh. And he starts laughing and laughing. He goes, you know what I just noticed? Up in the upper left-hand corner of our screen right now is a green check mark. Amy, you're approved. I just started laughing. And it's like, it's a little thing the Zoom puts on there to, like you can get more information by pressing it kind of thing. But I had to laugh because Spirit was playing with them, and the things that you look at when you're talking about certain subjects correlates. So notice what you look at when you're talking to somebody about a subject, because your intuition's trying to tell you things. He caught that at that exact moment because I am approved, So that was confirmation for him. So that's exactly how it works. Or maybe you'll find that you're in the store and you're kind of stressed and you can't figure out whether it's approved or toxic, and you're just like, I don't know. And you glance up at something green, that could be your green check mark. So you got to work with Spirit. Spirit has a very mysterious way of showing you things. But I thought that was really cool. So if you Okay, so one way, yeah. So you want to tell Spirit how you want to see it. So you could pick up a jar of something or pick up a container of something and just say, okay, green or red, and you'll look at it and you'll wait for either of those colors to stand out to you, pop out to you, or you'll see a check mark, or you'll see. So just practice, just keep practicing, and you'll get better and better at it. Okay. So, and some of you have different ways of doing that. You do like the human pendulum where you lean forward for a yes or lean back for a no. Like you can do it any way you want to do it. I'm just saying that there's many different ways to do it. Okay. If you do give your power away to like a trusted friend who always has the best advice ever, don't just listen to them. So many people just go, oh, well, my friend always knows just what to do, and I'm just going to listen to her and take her advice. What you could do instead, her advice or his advice might be perfect, but what you want to do is you want to go within and you want to check with your own intuition system. So you want to say, okay, God of all the human beings who want to see us all thrive and survive and be really happy and ascend on this earth, ascend with the mark of love. When all shit hits the fan and whatnot, we want to ascend with the mark of love. So basically, you just want to specify the God you're talking to, make sure that it's the God of love and compassion and kindness. And then you want to say, is this piece of advice actually best for me? And you could even see approved and toxic with that, or a yes or a no, or, whatever you come up with as your system to talk with Spirit and get that confirmation that you need. There might even be more information, and it could be a yes, but I wouldn't do it for like a couple months, or yes, but that part of what they said was coming from their own ego, or yes, but, check it within yourself. So you're also building confidence in your own abilities, and you're not just listening to somebody blindly, because God forbid that person dies, or God forbid that person gets angry at you and they're never speaking to you again. All of a sudden, you're just an insecure mess and you can't make a decision on your own. So it's okay to listen to other people's advice and get other people's guidance. Just make sure also that you check it against your own and listen to your own guidance so you can develop your own confidence in yourself too. Okay. As you learn new things, implement changes in your life accordingly. So like that gal that said that, she found out that peanuts, the way they were processed, were bad, like peanuts are bad. I'd never heard that. So sharing information between friends, that's why it's a good reason to also bond with people, because they'll share what they've been learning with you, and you do the same thing, and both of you go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. Oh, really? Wow. So, so do something about it. And with the items that you find, like I've found so many toxic things in my home. I had no idea natural flavors was bad. I had no idea that candles were that bad. I knew that there were more natural candles than others. But I just thought, whatever. If you've ever heard if you ever thought that somebody was just doing something because they're being picky, it's probably because that they actually know something you don't know about what's in that thing. So just keep that in mind too. People probably aren't being picky. their bodies might just be really sensitive to the things that you should probably be staying away from too. So look into that stuff and give items away if they can be repurposed, or throw them away if they're toxic. If you don't want anyone else to get poisoned by them, then don't give them to anybody else, you know. And don't worry about what you've spent. As always, you will be rewarded for listening to your heart and doing the right thing. And I get a yes on that. And I did before I even wrote that down. Okay. Truthers on YouTube or even Rumble are also a purposely intended distraction. Yes, it's nice to stay informed. Yes, it's even nice to be reassured by some of these truthers. But many truthers are paid to give misinformation, at the very least. Some of them are actually paid by nefarious people to give the misinformation. They know full well what they're doing, and they're still going to tell you what they're going to tell you. Partial truth, partial misinformation. Even if they have good intentions, some of these truthers have good intentions, but they're not listening to their intuition, right? So they don't realize that some of their sources or intel are coming from a nefarious source in an effort to cause confusion and doubt in their audience. So, and some of them on the other end of the scale that are really nefarious, they have been putting out curses in their videos using frequency and actually using black magic and even like rituals to cause health issues, doubt, confusion, and anything else they can to hurt and harm their audience. So knowing full well the people that are watching are the people who know what's going on in this world. Who better to target, right? Think about it. Who better would the nefarious people go after than people who know what the hell is going on and they want to know more information? Of course it would be us. We would be targeted, right? So just put on your best protection, and your best protection is to practice being the observer of yourself. Okay, so now we're getting into the as much as this seems like kumbaya, know that this information comes from a human being, myself, with a consciousness, who has been enlightened. I lived in an enlightened state for 6 months. I still have a degree of enlightenment. And so I'm still a high vibration. My voice has delta waves, so it not only calms you and sometimes puts you to sleep, but it also, if it puts you to sleep, that means that we're not of the same vibration quite yet. You need probably listen to me a lot more or something, because then you'll be able to stay awake longer. Anyway, it'll not only, my voice will not only help you to stay calm, it'll soothe you, and it'll also improve your own intuition, because that's what delta waves do. Now they mess with that though too. They mess with the frequency of how things are listened to through your speakers on your from this channel too. So, or not this channel, but the venue, YouTube or Rumble or whatever. Okay, so yes, being the observer. So being the observer coming from somebody who's been enlightened. Okay, so I know there is a God. It's a fact. It is not something made up, and it's not something that's, I have experienced God as an energy. God is an energy. God also has a consciousness though. I mean, it has a brain, like it thinks and it responds and it knows. So, but it's definitely an energy, and we all have access to it. It's all within us. That's the kingdom of God within us. Okay. So this being the observer of yourself will help you stay objective, clear, develop your intuition, protect you with God source energy pouring through you. It'll manifest your best life. It'll transmute whatever you are observing. If any of you, if you want to look on YouTube for the Observer Experiment, I think it's called the Observer Experiment, quantum mechanics or quantum I can't think of the word. Just put quantum observer experiment and you'll see it. Transmute, it'll transmute anything that you observe. It could also enable you to enlighten and become one with God. So you merge into God's energy, basically, but I'll explain that in a minute. Enter the kingdom of God within you, where you will experience a whole other dimension of reality despite anything going on in the outside world. Okay. There seems to be, because I was really feeling into this, because I do this a lot. I get into that observer mode a lot. So what it feels like, or what I experience at that as is there's different angles you can look at it from. So you can look at yourself by like projecting yourself behind yourself and looking at yourself doing something. So I could pretend in my mind's eye, I can be back behind myself right now, looking at myself making this video. It's a way of kind of detaching and looking from another perspective where you're not looking through Amy's eyes, like you're not looking through your own eyes. You're looking from another perspective. Another is a way to, I almost feel sometimes as if there's another set of eyeballs floating right in front of me, looking right at me, just completely, totally neutral. Like their face would be like this, with no reaction whatsoever to whatever I'm doing. They're just merely looking. And it's like they're recording. But you being aware that you're being watched, it actually brings consciousness into you, and it starts transmuting whatever it is you're observing. So it's transmuting you, what you're thinking, what you're speaking, and what you're doing. So, and somebody said in a comment the other day, the Akashic records are recording everything that you even think and say in the Akashic records. And even the negative AI are able to see what you think. You know, that's how they're able to mind control you, and they're able to like manipulate your dreams and stuff like that, dream warfare. So, but if you are an observer, I believe it's like either you're going to allow an observer to come here and watch from a negative standpoint, influencing you in a negative way, or having the ability to influence you in a negative way. So either these eyeballs are negative AI staring back at you, or it's God energy, God source energy, consciousness looking back at you. So when you're just yapping away and living your life and you're just not paying attention at all, guess what's in that place of those eyeballs in front of you? It's the negative AI that's going to influence you. And any moment, it's going to smack you in the face with some kind of a thought form that's going to come floating in and make you scared to death about something, or worry about your money, or worry about where you're going to live, or worry about your animals, or worry about, you know, all these things that you've been hearing, or make you want to watch that video because you're just dying to know what happens next. Or, you know what I mean? It's temptation to take you off the mark, to make the mark of the beast, place that groove of the mark of the beast on you, right? Are you getting it? All right. So when you are aware of by being aware of the consciousness watching you, that's when you are filling that seat. You're filling the seat with God. And once you get the hang of it and you start doing it all the time, and you start getting really comfortable with staying present in the moment and not letting thoughts in, not letting the thought forms in, the marks of the beast come in, then you kind of rest in it. You get more comfortable with it. You start trusting this energy, and it becomes you. It then rests upon you in a sense, like it merges with you. So God source energy, then you enter the kingdom of God within you. And when you're in that, then you'll feel it radiating through every cell in your body, and there's no more thought. It's just pure instinct. Now, I say this from experience, guys. It's not something I read in a book. I'm describing it from my pure experience of what it felt like to me, and it might be different from you. Now, I also have to warn you, though, when you're about to merge with the consciousness that's watching and observing you, when you're about to merge, which is actually you, it's your own consciousness. It's so hard to describe, but it's you, like wanting in. Let me in. Let me in. And so it's just watching you, and it's very, very patient, very, very neutral, very, very patient. It is just observing you, just observing, but it is you. So you got to make terms with the fact that it's you first, then it merges with you and whatnot. But there is a moment when it starts to merge into you where you're going to be afraid for just a second. You're going to be afraid of losing track of time, because that's another thing the Nefarians have done, is it makes time so important. You have to have time. You have to have appointments. You have to have a schedule. You have to have a calendar. You have to time. So there is an element of letting go of time, letting go of control, letting go of anything needing to be any kind of certain way or any kind of a label. Yeah, there has to be a complete surrender. And it's like you're falling back into God's arms and trusting he's going to catch you. It's going to catch you, right? So just know that when you feel that it's so fast, it's so hard to, it's not like somebody comes in and says, are you ready to enter the kingdom of God? It's not going to be obvious. It's going to be like, you're like, I think I'm trusting. Yeah, I think I'm trusting. I think I got this. I think, okay, that feels good. It's coming in. It's taking me over, and you start to feel this energy kind of taking over your body in a sense, kind of like you've seen Spider-Man like transform when he got bit into this superhero, right? It's like that. It starts to overcome your body. It starts to become you. You start merging and becoming one with God, and you feel the power of it, and you feel the purity of it, and all of it. It just starts washing you completely clean. It starts doing this incredible thing, and then you get scared. I won't be able to make money. I won't be able to live anymore. What about my family? What about my kids? So that's why they say leave everything to follow the kingdom of God, right? To enter the kingdom of God, you must leave everything behind. Because in that moment, when you shift, I'm getting chills. When you shift and you merge with God, you will have everything, you guys. You will have everything and way more than you could ever possibly dream of. Because everything that you desire will be magnetized to you like the strongest magnet you've ever known, and you manifest things just by wanting them. Or it's not even a desire thing. It's more like, I just thought it'd be nice to have a, whatever, and it appears really quick, like much, much faster than the normal person is able to manifest. I'll tell you that much. And it's a whole other dimension. You see through new eyes. You really do see through new eyes. Everything has kind of a certain aliveness and an iridescence to it when you're looking at it. And you may have chaos breaking out all around you. There may be a whole, like, people shooting each other with guns in the streets right in front of you, riots and everything. And you would just be totally walking through the crowd, completely unscathed, just radiating your energy out and bringing peace to everything around you. I mean, it probably radiates to like, I don't know how far it goes out, but it's got to be a whole city at least. You're bringing peace to your entire city wherever you're going through this enlightenment process. So, and one enlightened person is like, a thousand anybody with any kind of other power. At least, it's so powerful. I can't even tell you guys. It's so incredibly powerful. But you do have that little bit of like, for just a minute, you'll want to hang on to the world that but you got to let it go. You decide on that. I'm telling you now, so that when the moment happens, let it go. Trust my words right now. Let it go. Let the world go. Let your kids go. Let your husband go. Let all of it go, and you will have it all. When you transform, you'll have it all. It'll be different, but it's not going to be, it'll seem to the outsiders that you are more detached, but you actually love them even more and more powerfully, because you're bringing your essence to them. You're even bringing health to them. You're bringing vitality to those around you. You're bringing safety to those around you, because your essence radiates out through anybody that you're around. So you're protecting them ultimately too. And even though you don't react the same to drama anymore, you're not going to go, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. What a bad person. You're not going to do that. When you're enlightened, you're just going to observe. and you're going to give them and lend them your energy and love and support, they'll feel it. If you touch their hand or just sit with them, they'll feel all this peace come over them. That's much more powerful than doing what our society is conditioned to do and feel sorry for them. Or like if somebody dies or something like that, you know, you're not going to be like mourning and wailing and days of grieving of people bringing you food, and they might do that. And you're not going to like, I'm not going to do this for even go out in society for a year. You're not going to punish yourself like the Nefarians have taught us to do in all the movies and everything. Okay. When you're enlightened, somebody dies, it is just going to be like the wind blowing in the curtains. You're much more peaceful, much more stable, much more blissful. And it's not that you don't care, you care even more, but you're radiating out your peace about it rather than getting involved in the drama and turmoil of it all. It's the best thing you'd ever want to feel in your life. It's better than any drug you could ever possibly take. And if you watch the movie Limitless, you'll get an idea for what it's like to be in the enlightened state. Only they had to take a drug to do it, but you can actually do it yourself naturally. And that's also mentioning about psychedelics. I think that there is a disadvantage to psychedelics because psychedelics only give you a peek at what's possible. But then you're in a trap of feeling like you need that drug in order to have that experience. So the idea is to be able to create that experience within you with nothing at all. Not needing any food, not needing any particular, nothing at all. Just you agreeing to let God in you. That's it. Just you agreeing and being quiet enough in your mind that you're not listening to the mark of the beast. You're listening to the mark of God, which is love, and just quiet in the peace of your heart. So, all right. So ask permission from God before praying for another person or anything. So make sure everything aligns with somebody's free will or God's will. Don't wish for anyone anything that they don't wish for themselves, or it's black magic. I know I just talked about this recently, but this is a whole other different talk by itself, kind of set apart. So if you, let's say a mother is praying that her daughter will go to college, and she always wanted her daughter to go to college really bad. Oh God, please make her go to college. Please have her go to college. That's actually black magic. If the daughter doesn't want to go to college and the daughter wants to go be an artist or something. So, and even if even praying somebody get better if they don't want to, and if it's their time to die, you're praying against their will. That's black magic. So be very, very careful what you pray. I always check in, even if I don't do it out loud, I always check in before working on anybody. So I'll just say, I do it so fast now that I just subtly sense a yes in the corner, and I'm already doing the blissing. So, but you can get fast with it later. But for now, you can say, is it within their highest good, or is it within their free will that I give them this blessing for them to see the truth right now? And you'll get a yes, and then you'll proceed. Or you could just, like, one of the things that I pray too is, thank you, God, for showing them the truth in all things, to the degree their higher self is giving permission, and that your will be done. So as long as it's for everybody's highest good, basically, and as long as they give their permission. So however you want to do it, make sure that you're not doing black magic on somebody, because black magic will always backfire on you, always, because love always wins. God always wins, always. No matter how ugly things get out there in the world, love will win. So you want to be on the right side of things, and you want to make sure that there aren't any going to be any kind of backlashes or slaps in your face that come from having done the black magic, because they will come. It will come. Black magic will never, it is only a shortcut, but it will always trip you up. It may get what you're wanting to achieve briefly, temporarily, but in the long run, it's not going to be worth it, because that ends up being put back on you and more. And then, so you're causing yourself in the long term, a lot more suffering by trying to create shortcuts. So, and that even goes for you with true love counterparts. Don't ever put black magic on them. Do not ever pray that they will talk to you. Do not ever pray that they'll reach out to you. Do not ever pray that they will love you. Do not ever pray any of that, because it's their, they can love you if they want to. They can call you if they want to and whatnot. If you take it personally, it just means that you have to go do Byron Katie's work or do thank you God for my misery exercise or something to transmute that energy within you. And that's what the whole journey is about, is both people transforming from how they get triggered with each other. They have to continuously heal that. So, and that's another thing, is these true love counterparts are coming together to help change the world. So, yeah, be careful who you watch there too. Be careful the readers that you watch. Always put protection by being the observer. But it's to heal. It's all to help you heal and grow. Okay. So for that matter, I wanted to take a moment because I learned something about monarch butterflies that bothered me. So I just want to do a blessing for them according to to the monarch butterflies' will as a collective, and according to God's will. I want to do a blessing to because I heard that 90% of monarch butterflies don't even get past the cocoon stage. They don't even get to come out. That's 90% of them. And those that do get to break out end up dying of pesticides. They say that they die from a virus, but I felt into it and it's pesticides. So a lot of pesticides kill monarch butterflies. So we're going to do a blessing right now to help the monarch butterflies to however God sees fit. Whatever he wants to do with this energy, he can do. So he can either make them more resilient or make them stronger to, be able to break out of the cocoons more, or make them more resilient and resistant to the pesticides. So, but we're just going to lend some energy. If you would join me, please, because collective energy is even stronger than just an individual. So close your eyes, take a deep breath and relax. Just think about monarch butterflies, masses of monarch butterflies everywhere. Oh, they just told me one of the reasons. Oh my gosh. Wow. See, this is why we don't understand so much of what's going on. And if we just use logic and just use our brains, we're really at a disservice. Okay, so a lot of healers like myself, when we're transmuting negative energy, we turn them into butterflies. We turn them into bees and butterflies, like bumblebees, things that are harmless, things that are beautiful and harmless, and that do good in the world, right? So doesn't it make sense? We transform them into butterflies, and so they don't even get past the cocoon stage because they were never meant to live. They were too evil to live, but us healers didn't know that, and we just sent them to the light. We sent them into butterflies. So God itself said, this one needs to be transformed a different way, so we're going to let it become the butterfly, and then we're going to kill it off, because we're going to transmute it into something else. We see another need for it over here. We need to make it into a plant. We need to make it into a cat. We need to make it into a horse. We need to make it into grass. So just another way that God's will be done. Just always pray God's will be done. And that's the thing about being enlightened too. God's will is done through you. You are no longer willing your own will against God's will. You and God's will are one. Everything that you do is of God. Everything you speak, everything, your air, everything is all God. It's all filtered through God, because you're not thinking. So you're not influenced, and you have no more mark of the beast, because there is no fear that can come in, and you're not affected by thought forms anymore. Thought forms can't even come. Fearful thoughts can't even come through your field. It's true. I've seen it. It's a fact. Thought forms can't even come at that point, when you're that one with God. So then you don't have to worry about whatever blessings you put out. In fact, you don't even need blessings at that point. You're just intending everybody heal, and they do. So it's that powerful. That's why they're targeting, that's why they want to keep us in a state of fear, is they don't want us to heal and to know how powerful we truly are. All right. So let's keep doing the blissing for the monarch butterfly. So relax again. So I'm putting out an energy to just help in any way possible, in any way that God sees fit. Hala shishi kibina homaan. Hala kidina tai shin sa se lapina pohumaan. Shishinki inaan. Okay, so for some odd reason, I saw some of the monarchs actually bursting out of the cocoon into a fairy. So that may be the case a lot too, is it may appear that the monarch butterfly never, like, it died in the cocoon, but it didn't. It was transformed into a fairy. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool information. Okay. So, all right. So the next one is make good quality sleep a priority, because the Nefarians have done all that they possibly can to make our sleep, to give us sleep deprivation, basically, by stressing us out, putting, that blue energy in our TVs, and making us obsessed with the television and video games and stuff like that keeps our brains going. So sleep with your head pointed north. That's apparently the best way. So get a compass and point your head north while you're sleeping, and you'll get a better sleep. And it's like, from what I understand, if you're in a different position, your cells will try, like, apparently babies align themselves with north always. So if you see them lay crooked in their crib, it's because that's north. So you might want to move the crib if you want them to be really comfortable, just move them that way. But our cells are trying to align with north. So you save your body a lot of stress trying to move your body north if you just put yourself north, I guess, is a way to put that. Also, apparently the best time to go to sleep, is an hour and a half after the sun goes down. So you can look up your area and you can say, when does the sun go down? And whenever the sun goes down, go to sleep an hour and a half after that. About an hour and a half after that is the optimal healing time for your body. So if you can teach yourself or retrain yourself to go to bed early, then you can, or maybe even an hour after that, but just a lot closer to the time of the sun going down than maybe what you're used to. Because just like in Cinderella, you turn into a pumpkin at midnight. I asked Spirit what happens after midnight. What happens is your brain is just spinning out, and you're not going to be able to sleep as well if you go to sleep after midnight, which will make you, a mess. Not going to turn you into a pumpkin, but it'll stress your body out. You won't be able to sleep. You'll be tossing and turning and whatnot. So try to go to bed earlier. You may have to go through some adapting to that for a while, but eventually you'll be able to go to sleep sooner, and then you'll wake up sooner, most likely too. And then if you're fasting on top of that, you only need about 3-4 hours of sleep if you're fasting a lot. So, that's another thing to consider too, is fasting can really help the quality of your sleep as well. Okay. Oh yeah, and don't sleep with a mirror pointed at your bed or wherever you're sleeping. So it's like, if you think of it, if I'm a mirror, then whatever I'm focused on right here is like cutting through. And a lot of them are like portals and vortexes and things. So it'll keep you awake, basically. So don't have a mirror pointed at your bed. If you have a mirror, have it like at the foot of the bed, facing a different direction. So not facing at the bed, but facing this way or whatever. Or just figure it out. Use feng shui, look up feng shui for covering up mirrors, because you could cover it up with a cloth. That's one way. You can put something over it. You could have it close. That would be another idea. So, something, yeah. So just check it out. Or sometimes I think you can even put a crystal at the base of the mirror, and it'll break the energy from coming, beeline for you, keeping you awake. And they just said some creatures come out at night from the mirrors. So every once in a while, when you're saging, just I do this frequently. Like whenever I'm saging, I use frankincense and myrrh, and I walk around and I seal the mirrors just by intending it. I don't necessarily say anything. The mirrors are now sealed. Nothing is fancy and nothing is particular in the spirit world. Just your intention is all that's important. So go to the mirror, wave the smoke in front of the mirror, just closing it. Okay. Okay, fast as often as you can for as long as you can. Remember, you're always either digesting or healing. And everything, and I mean everything, can be healed with energy. Energy is God. So you can look at it that way too. Digesting is, in a way, a distraction from God, right? Isn't this crazy how this all starts to click? It's like, whoa. So, like I've been eating once a day. But when I have anything going on, I'll stop eating for 21 days is a norm where I'll just have like tea and water. And I'll make a juice. Like I like to have like asparagus, lemon, garlic, and maybe beet juice or something like that. Like I'll make some kind of a juice that's vegetables and that's like good for your blood circulation and stuff like that. Or anything that you feel would be beneficial for your body. If you're trying to get rid of parasites, I'm not sure I would recommend fruit juices with a lot of sugar because you're trying to kill off parasites and they could feed off of that. So listen to your intuition. Always ask your intuition. Should I take this? Should I have this in it? Should I have that in it? Should I have that in it? Even when I'm going to reach for my supplements, if I ever take them, if I'm totally fasting, like a serious fast, I don't take anything because God provides everything that you need. So, and God will completely and totally, your energy will completely and totally heal every ailment in your body. So that's why you also want to do Qigong and do breathing that brings more Qi in your body. Qi is God source energy or God energy, right? Which is your consciousness, which is the kingdom of God within, coming around full circle, right? So if you're enlightened, I suppose you really don't need any food because you're just completely full of God source energy. So maybe just water. I don't know. So anyway, as often as you can and as much as you can and as long as you can, even if you just want to do intermittent fasting, like I've been doing, just eat dinner or just eat for a short period of time. Just like I think last night I ate for an hour. That was it. The whole rest of the time I was healing. So my insulin spiked for an hour and that was it. Just to digest my food or to just zap my food real quick. And then that was it. And you get used to it. And in fact, it gets to where you really even want food. You get real picky about food and you just get like, eh. And fasting doesn't seem like a turnoff like it used to. You're just like, oh, time to get serious for a minute. I have some stuff going on. So I'm just gonna get rid. And you just kind of flip the switch and be like, okay, I'm gonna heal for 2 days. And then you just decide it. And then whenever your mind starts to go to food or anything like that, you just go get some tea or you get, a club soda or something kind of fun like that. Or, you do something else and you have a plan or you have some organic lemon in water, fresh squeezed lemon in water or, something to kind of treat yourself. Have teas that you like that are extra special and other teas, just do that kind of thing. And you will, when you start seeing the results in your body, when you do it, then it's kind of a no-brainer. You start to go, I don't know why people are eating as much as they do, this is crazy. So, yeah. And then also you also reduce the risk of taking in toxins if you're not eating any food, right? So at least break the habit or break the addiction to food. And if you react negatively to fasting, like say, I get this or I get that or I get headaches or this happens and that just means that you actually have something wrong with you in the first place, which means that all the more reason that you need it. So you can watch Dr. Berg, or was it Jason Jung or something like that? Jason Jung. I think it's Jason Jung, Jung maybe. Anyway, look up a Dr. Berg long-term fasting. He always recommends taking electrolytes and vitamin B, I believe. But watch his video on long-term fasting, because he very much encourages it and tells you all the good stuff that you could take to support yourself through it. Once you're over all your ailments, once you've healed all the stuff that made it hard for you to fast in the first place, then you can fast all the time and not even have any problem with it. It's not even hard. You don't even really think about it. Okay. And you have a lot more time to do other things too. A lot of people just eat out of boredom. So you just have to come up with some activities or things that you want to read that you do instead. Okay, so protect yourself from EMFs, electromagnetic field radiation. So we're getting radiation thrown at us from every direction. Any time there's a light, even, or the modem, or your phone, but there are EMF protectors that you guys can put over your modem, and there are actually radiation protectant cell phone covers. So you just, whatever it is that you use on a regular basis that has EMFs. There's a book called EMF'd by Dr. Mercola that you could read to find out all the things that have EMFs and all the things to prevent it. If you're building a new home, I would absolutely get it to where it doesn't have any EMFs if possible, or very little. Go back to candlelight. I don't know. You should be going to bed when the sun goes down anyway, so we don't really need lights. And then you wake up when the sun comes up. So just, take the prompting from the earth and, try to just minimize as best you can, minimize the EMFs. I've had a thought of like having a house completely EMF proof, or not, with as little as possible, but then having an area where I could come make these videos and do things like this for you guys, and just be exposed to it for a short period of time. With, the minimum effect out there too, but then, just go back in your house and you've got all the healing happening in your house. So your house should be your refuge, Okay. No. There's also air tube headphones, in case you guys didn't know about those, that you can listen on your phone or talk to people on the phone, and the radiation disperses and it doesn't go into your head like with normal like earbuds and Bluetooth headphones and things like that. Okay. Drink only homemade distilled water. So I would look on Rumble, and I would look up best types of water, or just specifically put in distilled water. Distilled water in a bottle isn't the same. Spring water, not safe, even though they say that it is. None of the bottled waters are really safe. Reverse osmosis is supposed to be, I guess that's the best runner-up, but distilled water is definitely by far the best from this video that I watched and all the extensive studies and what I've seen my water do with the distiller I have. So when you get it, you'll see what I mean. You'll see all the stuff that gets burned off from the water, and that's filtered water. I'm actually like distilling filtered water. The filtered water should be fine for me to drink. And it's not. It's got a bunch of shit at the bottom that it burns. It's terrible. So, yes. And then don't eat fast food because of the toxins in the ingredients intended to harm us. Most of you already know this. Dine out only if your particular meal passes the green checkmark test, but avoid it if you can. At least for the next 2 years or few years, we really need to focus on eating homegrown, homemade meals as much as possible if you do have to eat. You can grow your own food by getting a countertop hydroponic grow system, or growing an organic lemon tree in your home, or things like that. You can get like citrus trees to grow in your home. You can get them to not grow that big either. So in terms of the hydroponic system, you want to make sure that you're not pumping in tap water in that either, though, because they have synthetic venom in the water. So you don't want to be taking tap water in. But if maybe your whole home is distilled, that'd be awesome. There are systems that distill all the water in your home. If, a lot of them, you actually pour the water in, and that would be better, because then you could pour the distilled water in there, and then you got it. There are a lot of myths about distilled water, guys, a lot of myths, and they're wrong, just as with so much right now. So distilled water is really, really good for you, and it tastes really good too. Okay. So anything else, or was that it? I think we're done. I think we got through it all, guys. So hopefully that helps you to navigate through this next year. Maybe you got one thing out of that. Maybe all of them were new for you. I don't know. Different people are watching at different levels. But you might have to watch this video multiple times to really get the maximum benefits, because sometimes you watch it one time and then the next time you watch it, you're like, oh, didn't realize she said that. So yeah, it might be a good idea to watch it more than once. But and if you have any other suggestions also that I didn't list on here that you've learned in the last year or two, or through this time, that you think it would be beneficial for people to know, then please mention it in the comments below, because we're all learning from one another, and can always be here for each other in this way. Okay, have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this video with other people. Thank you for subscribing if you haven't yet. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.